All right, welcome to the Abundant Community Call for June 19th. I hope that this day is meeting you well. We are coming up upon the summer solstice, so that is fun. Stay tuned. I today will be dropping an episode on the podcast about what you can do for the summer solstice. It's a good time of year to set intentions and to go into the summer energy with a renewed energy. It's also the longest day of sunlight for the entire year, which is very exciting coming out of winter and spring. And then it's the brightest, longest day. But after that, we start losing a little bit of time every day as we head down into the fall. Today's topic is going to be about authenticity, visibility, and spiritual alignment. In a world where we are so filled with constant consumption of really comparison, of seeing what everyone else is doing and seeing how curated things are behind the scenes. So, for instance, I was on a call the other day and someone was saying that it takes them like 3 hours to come up with like a post on Instagram. And I was like, that is insanity because I might spend some time in the sense that I'm editing, like I'm using edits or I'm teaching myself as I go. So I might be learning the tech side of things, but it does not ever take me 3 hours to come up with a post. So that was really interesting to see how caught up some people get in wanting things to be perfect or trying to control the narrative or the outcome, the persona that you're projecting. So it got me really thinking about just showing up as our most authentic selves. And I think what I'm learning is that when we do that, we are really attracting the right eyes on our content, into our offers, and really into our reality and into our world. So I did a little deep dive as far as what authenticity and visibility have in connection to spirituality, because I'm all about teaching the spiritual side of things, about how we can connect to our inner knowing, and of course, how we can also manifest. So, with a simple reminder of authenticity is not becoming someone new, it's remembering who you already are. It's taking off the layers of the social conditioning, of the limiting beliefs, of the beliefs that we've put onto ourselves. As we go through our lives, we pick up little things from our environment, and it might be from our parents, from our teachers when we were kids. It could be from our current coaches if we're in communities. We pick up these beliefs, and sometimes they're not ours to carry. And so bringing awareness to that is what really helps us come back home to ourself. So the more you honor your true nature, the less energy you're wasting trying to be someone that maybe you're not, right? And we see it so often. People try and experiment. I myself am a trial and error in human design. That's part of my composition. So I know for a fact that I'm going to be someone who tries something and then gets the data and sees if it works and if it doesn't work. And if it works, continue forward and see how it all ties together. So it's super important to play with things and to see what works, what doesn't work, and get information from that. Now, not everyone is a trial and error, though, so we have to be aware. I would highly recommend, if you are not already aware of your human design, to do a deep dive into your human design. There are so many free resources out there. You can even just go into Instagram or TikTok and, in the search bar, search your specific human design once you figure that out. There are also paid reports that you can order I myself have one that's 200 pages long that I printed out. Well, I printed it out at my husband's school to save paper and ink, right? Um, and then I'm slowly going through it when I have the time, when I make the time. I was really good about it in the winter and then I kind of skewed away from it. But you could also train your chat if you are friendly with your chats. You can let them know, like, here's my human. I think I actually uploaded my entire report to my chat so it can know who I am. So when I'm utilizing it to help me come up with certain things, it knows who I am and where I come from and all of that. Now, that's just one piece to really get to know who you are as an individual, to get to know what works best for you, because the more information and knowledge that you learn about yourself and how you work and how you operate, the more you can give fully and wholly to your clients or your friends or your family members. So it's all about coming back to your most authentic version of yourself. And with the preface that your uniqueness is not a flaw to fix. So every one of us is so different. And just like a fingerprint, we all have quirks or things that people genuinely love about us. And that's the beauty in all of us being so unique. And while we might have similar interests, or we might have similar offers or similar teachings, the beautiful thing is that we are all our own unique person and that we're going to bring our experiences, our thoughts, our reflections to what we put out there into the world. And now, not everyone has to put things out into the world, but a lot of the members that are part of this community in particular are people that are wanting to make a difference in the world, wanting to touch upon hearts that are in the world and to make a difference, whether it's giving energy reports like Shabana does, or it is making a difference in a child's life. We are all being of service to others in the world. And this is what I've taken on as far as wanting to spread more light into the world, um, getting more light workers to be brave and stand in their authenticity and to offer their gifts to the world, to be of service. So, what makes you stand out is often what you've spent years trying to hide. Meaning, if you talk to spirits, or you can read auras, or you can read tarot cards, or you're really good at picking up on the energy of the room, right? That's a gift that not everybody has, or not everybody has to the certain degree that you may have. So once you start showing up and sharing those gifts out loud, they will usually amplify. And then it will do one of two things. One, you're going to draw in the people that match your energy. And two, you're going to kind of fade out with the people that may not match your energy anymore. And that's what I mean by being your most authentic version of yourself, because you want to have that real effect, that those real connections out there in the world. And understandably so, that social media can be very curated. It can be it could be manipulative. But when we decide that we want to show up as our most authentic versions of ourselves, that is the purpose of stepping into your inner knowing and connecting more with who you are as your individual self. God made you in his likeness in all the specific, beautiful ways that you are meant to be. And that's what makes each one of us unique and special. So when you stop trying to blend in or mimic someone else, and I feel that we've all been guilty of doing these things because we look up to people. We look up to coaches that may have, 1 million followers, or even someone that doesn't have a lot of followers. And we say, oh, wow, I feel inspired by that. Let me try that, or let me do that. And while you might have similar interests, you do have to add your own flair to it because you want to make sure that you're being authentic. And one of my coaches did say something that I thought was very good and worth repeating. There are so many of us on the world, and while there can be limitless ideas, of course, there's going to be some overlap. If there is like a mission to be spread, a word to be spread, of course, there's going to be multiple people who have that same message. But what makes it unique is the way that you bring your own life experiences, your own opinions to it, and your own sense of uniqueness to it. So, for example, if someone is teaching their community to be more visible, right? And then you go into another community and that person has the same message, those two people are both sharing the importance and the benefits of being visible, but each person has their own unique way of sharing it. It's not like an exact copy and paste. And to me, that shows that the right people are meant to hear that message. The people that are meant to hear that message will hear that message because it is being spread almost as if on assignment, right? If the point is trying to get more awareness around a certain topic for the collective to grow, right? If the consciousness needs people to be more authentic, you're going to see more people that are teaching authenticity. And there are only so many ways that it can be taught. And then when someone figures out a new way to teach it, then it spreads like wildfire and it kind of trickles down from there and it continues. So what I've been noticing is a lot of people are getting stuck in their heads with, well, I don't want to look like I'm copying so and so. But really, you're not copying anybody, because if the intention to spread that word has been placed on your heart, and you're coming at it from a sense of authenticity with a desire to really truly spread the word, then you're going to fulfill that. You're going to do that. Now, clarity also comes from self-awareness, and I'm a big component behind this. Is when we get clear, our direction, our path ahead of us becomes clearer. But oftentimes we get so stuck in our own heads, our minds, we get set on these loops that we replay the same conversations, the same what ifs, the same scenarios over and over again. And that's part of where the awareness comes in. When we become aware of, okay, if I think this, then I'll start spiraling down about that. Stopping that loop is what creates change. It breaks that neural pathway, and we're able to then go in a different direction. We're able to then retrain our patterns and our thought patterns in order to create different ideas and modalities. We have about 60,000 thoughts per day, and obviously we cannot control all of them. And some of them literally make no sense, right? But the ones that we are aware of that may be like sabotaging ourselves, like, oh, I don't have time to do that, or I don't have time to have fun. I have so many things to do. Those thoughts are the ones that we can bring awareness to, stop them, and then say something else. Okay, say the affirmative. Say, I do have time, or I make time for important things. I have more fun in my life. I have more opportunities for play in my life. So changing those thought patterns one by one will create more clarity. And then taking action. Clarity actually comes from taking action, and it goes back to that trial and error. If you continue to just have ideas from the comfort of your desk or your couch or your bed or while you're driving, those ideas are wonderful, but if you aren't putting any action behind them, then kind of like what good are the ideas? If you have an idea to go to your local flea market or craft fair or whatever, a vendor situation, and put something that you make, like artwork or miniatures or wind chimes, you have that beautiful idea, but you don't do anything with it, you're not going to get the data that either tells you you're on the right track or bring in the potential matches. Maybe you'll, from that experience, you would be matched up with someone who wants you to come and create a workshop for them at their place of business. Like, we have to put ourselves out there in order to find those right connections. And so, energetically, when we actually take the actionable steps, when we actually make the action, that is when the universe matches us with the experiences that are meant to come our way. All right. So, your gifts become easier to identify when you pay attention to what comes naturally to you. If you have an idea and you're trying to do it, but it feels like forced or sticky, go inward and see why. Is it fear, or is it a sense of what if this works out? Asking yourself some deeper questions will raise your awareness as to if you are on the right track or not. So, for example, if you want to try something new, but you feel fear around what if this doesn't work, I would love to see you get curious with yourself to see why you're feeling resistance. Is it because your body wants you to stay safe and in the same routine? Or is it possibly not coming from a place where it feels in alignment for you? Because we can do all the things, right? Um, for example, if someone is face painting, you're like, oh, I could face paint because that would be super easy. It's summertime. There's lots of parties going on. I could easily buy a painting kit and go paint children's faces for $5 a face or something. And as you get closer to getting there and doing it, right, you have a party booked and you're like, can I actually really do this? Like, you have to ask yourself, are you really doing this because it's something you thought you could do, or is it something that lights you up? Like, are you going to feel really great when it happens, or are you going to be like, well, I thought I could do it just as good as so and so, and really it looks like a kindergartner scribbling on someone's face, right? So you have to really kind of be genuine, is what I'm trying to say, as to whether or not what you're trying to put out there into the world really authentically feels good for you. Because I think that so many of us are talented enough that we can see something and we can say, ooh, I can do that. And I'm speaking from experience, right? There's been so many people that I'm like, I can do that. That would be so easy. But then when I do it or think about doing it, I'm like, is it because I think it's going to be easy? And I witness other people being successful at it? Or is it because it's something that I feel genuinely inspired to do? So that's what I'm trying to get at, is putting that distinction and getting clear with why we're putting content out there and offer out there, asking about, a certain connection. So the purpose is to get more curious with ourselves and to come from our most authentic center, because when we are being our most authentic version of ourselves and true and honest to ourselves, is when we're going to find the most success, the most meaningful, deep connections that we're all seeking, because we're all looking for love and connection and support and growth. And it's so important and valuable to show up authentically. Also, your soul will leave you clues through your passions, interests, curiosities, and the things people are constantly coming to you for help. So a dear coach of ours had taught us at one point to send a text to a few friends and say, hey, when you think of me, what comes to your mind as far as what you would come to me asking for support with? And then you can collect that information from, say, 3 or 5 people, and then utilize that information to gain a better understanding of maybe something that you are really good at, but you don't see it yourself. Or maybe you need that reinforcement to see how valuable you are at making someone calmer, at showcasing someone in a way that makes them feel supported and loved. So it's again collecting that information. So if ever you feel like you need more clarity or a deeper understanding of what your gifts are, you can ask people that truly spend time with you, see you, care about you, and are willing and open to share their perceptions of you. And again, remember that they are perceptions. So everyone comes to the table with a different lens of looking at things. And of course, we're emotional beings. So you might hit someone when they're having a bad moment, but hopefully they'll respond to you when they're in a clearer, more aligned state of mind. I haven't yet had the experience of anyone saying anything negative, and really it kind of makes your heart really happy to hear how other people view you and see you and shine that light back on you. So going back to your soul leaves clues. If you happen to go to an event or an activity, or you are on YouTube and you see something that sparks interest in your heart and soul, that is a clue. And sometimes the clues are super, super subtle. So they, as in the universe, the spirit guides, the angels, they can leave you clues that are super subtle, and it's almost like you're a detective. You have to be on the lookout for these things. You have to be aware of your environment. So sometimes, for example, you will pick up on certain things. For example, if you're listening to the television and you hear something in the background, right? Meaning you are listening to the TV, but you're not really listening, right? You're doing other things. You're multitasking, as most of us do nowadays, which is not the best thing. And all of a sudden, you pay attention to this one line that this character said. Like you couldn't repeat what had just happened, but that one line stands out. And that one line might have a message for you. So it's actually paying attention in that sense, that when your attention is piqued, you pay attention and you make note. And so sometimes you can make notes either in your mind, but if you're like me, you'll probably like forget about it. So you can get a journal and call it like an evidence journal. Like you can write down your reflections, and then at the end of like a week or a month, you can go back and relook at it and be like, oh, wow, that showed up 6 times over the course of a month. Let me dive into what that means. So it's super important to just be aware and get out of our heads of like the constant go, go, go. All right, so spiritual growth is not about becoming more spiritual than others, but becoming your own person. We all come to this world with certain soul contracts and soul lessons. Think of life as a school, and we are in a certain grade. With that grade comes a specific curriculum. And as our souls are evolving, we have different lessons that we have to overcome. And like school, if you do not master that specific lesson, the lesson will continue to repeat itself until you master it. So, again, with that awareness piece, you have to be mindful of if this lesson is continuing to repeat itself, get to the why behind it. That will help you figure out what it is you need to do differently. It is like Groundhog's Day, right? That movie where he keeps having the same experience until he figures out what he needs to do differently in order to get out of the loop of the Groundhog Day. It's a good movie. It's an old movie. But I do recommend it because it kind of makes you aware. There's certain movies out there that like have like secret hidden soul messages, that The Matrix. There's definitely some movies out there that are curious as to what people and life have in common. All right, the other thing is when you're putting yourself out there, people can feel your energy. So your energy speaks before you even enter a room. And that goes through social media because energy has no bounds. Energy is timeless. It isn't constricted to your house. So if I am putting a message out there, but my frequency is low, even if I'm putting a smile on my face and I'm laughing and I'm kidding, but my energy doesn't actually match that, like it's not an authentic match, it's not being done in authenticity, people will sense that, whether on a conscious level or not, and they'll just like scroll right past it, or they won't respond because they might not feel like it's genuine. So, again, just being your most authentic self and not just doing things because we feel like we should do them or we should do them a certain way, etc. So, again, it comes back to just being your most authentic version of yourself. And that's why, again, it comes back to realizing what things we have picked up that might not be ours to carry anymore. All right. So if you're always trying to look perfect on social media, I don't know, show up with no makeup on, show up with your hair undone, like show up as your most authentic self and then just see what happens. Like again, play with it, right? So people are drawn to congruence. They can feel when someone is being genuine. That goes back into our energy. Visibility is an energetic experience before it is a marketing strategy, meaning, again, people feel your energy. I'm sure that we have come across many people that are selling all of the same ideas, right? Maybe they're selling how to manifest a large amount of money, etc. But then you get on call with them, like you go to their free workshop, and you can just feel like it's all scripted or it's all like you can almost just feel the inauthenticity. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like you sense that it's not real. I used to follow this one girl, and I was like, dang, like I was watching her grow and watching her audience grow. And she was like a single mom, she was broke, she was unhappy in like her career. And then next thing you know, she had this like mansion and this giant pool. And like then she was going out and buying like Chanel and like all of these like bougie items. And all she was doing was like literally just being herself, like just constantly being in the feed and whatnot. And then as I started following her longer and longer, um, you could just see a different energy about her, and it was just not genuine anymore. It was like almost like she had gotten like a little taste of like money and I guess like fame in her mind, and it just began to not feel like authentic anymore. And so then I dis resonated with her. I don't even know if that's a word, but like I wasn't interested in her anymore. Like, and I unfollowed her. I attended like one of her workshops and I was like, ooh, this does not feel good. It was almost like she was being like forced to perform. It was very weird. It got a little weird. So my point is like, I think when people are authentic, you can literally feel it. You can feel when they're being true to themselves because of our energy and our connection as a collective whole. All right, let me see what else I want to hit upon. So, authenticity acts as a filter. It repels what is meant for you and attracts what is meant for you. So, again, when you're the most authentic version of yourself, you're going to attract those people or those situations or those containers that are really meant for you. And we might go down a path where it's not a good connection. So being aware of that can also bring awareness to you and your spiritual growth. For example, I joined a coaching community just because I was piqued with interest. I'll be open about it. It was there's a show that I used to watch, my Sister Wives, and one of the women, Janelle Brown, had started a coaching community, and I happened to see it, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds fun. Let me try it out." Just because I was like, I've always like liked her the best out of the group, and it's just such a silly show. And if you've ever listened to my podcast, the show is literally the same show for like 20 years, right? Like nothing has changed. And so my husband would be like, "Why are you watching this again?" I've literally probably watched every single season, and it's like it's the same story over and over again. Why? Because it was like mindless entertainment. When I was burnt out from teaching, I would come home, it would be Monday night, and I'd watch this stupid show for an hour, and I wouldn't have to think about my life. I'd be like, "Oh God, their life's such a train wreck," you know? So it was like this numbing pacifier. So I've always liked the one of the Sister Wives. So it was this guy married to four women, polygamy, and she was always like the most sound. She was like very smart financially, and she would never like get worked up or like over emotional, which so I felt like she was very cool, calm, and collected. So then when I saw that she was starting her own coaching community, I was like, "Oh, let me go and try that." And then when I got in there, like she was lovely, but being that I have experience with other coaches, I could see in her that she was very new to coaching and older. I want to say she's probably in her early 60s, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I had a best friend at one time that was in her 60s. Um, it wasn't a match, right? So I ended up getting coached by her because it was a small group of us. There was maybe 20 people, and I raised my hand to get coached, and that was it. I spent 1 month in there, and then I said, "You know what? I think you're amazing. I think you're great, but this isn't for me," right? So my point is, it's good to try things out, but then also recognize when it's not a match, and then take what wasn't a match and learn from that, and be like, "Okay, next time I'm looking for XYZ." Do you know what I mean? So it's about trial and error, but also taking that knowledge and that experience and then working with it to move forward. So self-trust is part of being authentic to yourself, trusting yourself to make the right decisions. Now, I could have stayed in that coaching container. I could have made more connections or given it more of a fair shot, but I got clear and honest with myself that it I didn't think that it was going to bring me anything that I needed or that I was missing. I feel like it had served its purpose. I had my little like fangirl crush moment. And that's, I think, what the purpose was, you know, to see someone that you recognize and value and think is really cool, to meet them in real life outside of a TV show. And it was kind of cool for me to see that she really was the same person that she was portrayed on TV. Like that was cool to witness. But to recognize that again, that was the purpose that it served. That was it. So that was cool. And it also gave me confirmation for myself personally that, like, again, what I teach, you can pivot at any time. Like here she was doing XYZ, and now she has her own coaching community that she's starting at 60 years old. And you know what? It's growing, and she has a podcast and all of that. Like you can do the thing. So it was just also that confirmation and that piece to it. All right. Your voice. This is a big one. If you have any type of block and you would have to get quiet with yourself to realize where your blocks are, Your voice might be a piece of your healing journey. So putting your voice out there in an authentic and honest way, whether it's through a podcast, going on Instagram Live, writing from your heart on Substack, making silly videos on TikTok. Those are all opportunities for you to utilize your voice and to put your voice out there. So, going deep here, perhaps in another lifetime, you were unable to be heard, right? For different reasons in society. Perhaps you had ideas, but you weren't in a place or a time to utilize and share your ideas, your gifts, your word. And now in this lifetime, you're trying to clear those energetic constrictions that were placed on you. And so recognizing that that is something that you're going to break free of in this lifetime and finding the modality that serves your heart and your soul the best path to doing that, the best path to overcoming that. It might start with you making silly videos on Instagram or TikTok. And then maybe it will lead you to an invitation to speak on a podcast or to speak on a stage or to speak on a certain topic at your local school. So once you start putting yourself out there and trying new things, you don't know, or you might know, like, right, you might know if you do a reading or pull tarot cards or you get some type of confirmation on a soul level that that's something you're meant to work on. But you'll notice if you're on the right path when you start to feel a difference in your energy and your ability to speak. And our body also gives us clues and signs. So, for example, you go to talk about a certain topic and your body starts reacting by giving you a sore throat, or you start to lose your voice, right? Those are signs that one, your body's trying to keep you safe, which means it's trying to keep you where it's familiar, but to recognize that and then to push through that, okay? And not push by force, but push by being open and almost like game on, like I'm going to overcome this. I'm aware that this is something that I need to work on, that I want to work on, that might be part of my soul's journey and my soul's evolution, and then doing it, but also being graceful with yourself, right? You don't have to go out and start speaking on a stage day one. Again, those baby steps, those micro action steps will lead to big changes and having a big effect on your life. I'm going to walk us into a few reflection questions before we wrap up, but I want to touch upon one last comment, which is spirituality invites you to stop seeking permission and start honoring the wisdom that is already within you. We come to this world with so much soul knowledge, and that's what I mean by going within, with reconnecting to your inner knowing. We, on a soul level, have so much knowledge, so much experience, and so much inner truths that it is super important to connect to that. And how we can connect to that is through meditation, journaling, breath work helps us release. Any way that gets your mind working in a way that it's connecting to your inner self or connecting to your spirit team, connecting to the angels, speaking to God, universe, source, whatever you call it, and really allowing yourself to truly hear, right? And then acting on that hearing, acting on that knowledge. All right, so I'm going to walk you through a few journaling questions and give you about a minute to answer each of these. I'm going to give you, I'm not sure how many, I'm going to see how time is, and I'm going to see what also feels good. I have a few written down, but we're not going to go through all of them. All right, Let's see here. Okay. Question one. What parts of myself do I hide because I fear judgment? And I'm going to share my answers too after the minute. What parts of myself do I hide because I feel judgment? Okay, what parts of myself do I hide because I fear judgment? All right, and I'm going to give us about 1 minute. All right. Now, if you want to share, you can share in the chat or I can unmute you also. That's fine. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll go. The parts of me that I feel like I hide because of fear of judgment from others and stuff is just sharing more of like my energy readings and my coaching services because I feel like other people not like in these communities will be like, well, who are you to charge that? And like that's so weird and woo and stuff like that. Um, but I know like I'm really good and there are areas that light me up and make me happy. But I definitely like hide behind of like just like what more like what will family think if I really like
Mm-hmm.
promote that more on social media and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that going into just reflect back, I think that when you have that sense of what you want your next chapter to be and what you want to fully step into and shine in, that is the first step, right? And so part of the task or the challenge or the lesson at hand is now going to move without that sense of fear. Let me close my Zoom screen for a minute. I have a really great quote that I keep literally for myself that ties into what you're saying.
Hmm.
Let me see if I can find it. This is from Michelle Obama. It says, don't ever make decisions based on fear. Make decisions based on hope and possibility. So we have to move past that fear of worrying about, and it's hard, it's real, right? It's real, like worrying about what will so and so think? What will I know, right? What will my dad think? My dad will be the first to tell you, he's like, I don't even understand half the things you're saying when you post. I said, Dad, with all due respect, it's not meant for you. So I gave him permission. I said, you can just scroll right past it. I said, don't even
Yeah.
watch it because it's not meant for him. You know what I mean? Like, and so going back to the energy is like those people that are meant to hear your offers or be open to what you want to put out into the world will hear it. And those that aren't, it's okay. And we have to also recognize that everyone is on their own soul journey. And we, quite to be blunt, we might be above or more elevated or more evolved than our
Yeah.
mother, our father, our judgy um, acquaintance, like, right? So it's going to be becoming more visible and trusting that if that is what your soul is giving you as what's lighting you up, to roll with it. Like you and I both know that we have people that charge prices that to some people might be insane, right? Like I was thinking about joining a coaching community, not a coaching community, a coaching program. And the price tag was $15,000 for the intermediate. We won't say names. You might know who I'm talking about. You might not, but I'll tell you after the call.
Yeah.
But the high was $50,000. $50,000 for a year of coaching and
Yeah.
this particular certificate, right? Now,
Hmm.
someone we might be like, that's insane. But someone else might be like, that's so, and you've heard the testimonies, like, that's so worth it. That's so valuable. So charge what feels good for you, because I think that's it's part of it, right? It's part of the healing behind charging our worth. And I do think that certain numbers are placed on our hearts for a specific reason.
Yeah,
So
that's
lean
good.
into that. For me also, because oh, do you want to say anything on that?
No, I just the more like I'm in the work, it's that reminder of to continue to like clear myself and clear past generation and traumas and stuff like that
Yes.
because like I'm living like their like wildest dreams, but then I have my roadblocks and really I just need to keep living it out. And I'm sure I'm making more than all my past generations in my mind, you know.
Oh
So
yeah, 100%. And that's something that I even reminded myself of this week. So it's good confirmation that you're saying that, is like, if I have the platform and the opportunity to clear this for past and future generations, then why am I being scared to do that? Do you know what I mean? It's like you have the roadmap in your hand, but you're like afraid to go anywhere. You're like, I'll just stand here. I'll just stand here and stare at it. It's like we have to start making the moves step by step. All right. Thank you for being open and vulnerable and sharing that. So, what parts of myself do I hide because I fear judgment? I think for me, it's more of the spirituality side. It's more of like putting myself out there with the woo, because some people are so judgy, and or you get the person, for example, a mutual friend of ours posted something the other day, and one of the comments on her thread was, "You need Jesus," and it's like, oh, to be called out on social media like that, and it's just so interesting to see how people react, right? But also people hide behind the internet. They think that they can say and do whatever the heck they want. And then, so it's also being aware that people are more reckless with what they say and post in response on social media. So again, just leaning into what feels good for you. And I am a big believer of, if it's you're gonna either attract the right people in, the right clients, the right audience, and who's not meant to be will either fall away, or you'll have to push them away because you're like, listen, you're not here for the right reasons. See you later. All right. I'm gonna just give one last question for us. So, where am I performing instead of expressing? Where am I performing instead of expressing? Hmm. All right, so I'll go first. I think for me, performing over expressing, I feel like for me, the layer I think is a little different. I mean, not different, but what's coming to my mind is I feel like sometimes I don't express myself enough in certain communities and whatnot, or even in like certain, like, Voxer threads or like group chats, because I don't know why. I think I need to sit more with that. Like, why? So in a way, I'm performing as this person that's quiet or holding back when I have so many opinions, or want to chime in, but I'm not fully expressing my authentic self. So I will dig deeper on that, for my own growth and reflection. So yeah, there's that. Would you like to share or not share? It's up to you.
I can share. This question was actually hard for me because I feel like when I do show up on social media, it's like with a purpose, with an intention. I feel like, and that in my mind is like, oh, that's the only place you can perform, which isn't
Mm.
true, but like that's where I go to. Like it's like social media is like just one big act. But I feel like I'm doing like good with that, just always being like pretty authentic. And then sometimes I think it's kind of like what you're saying, like I don't express myself enough.
Mhm.
Like, and it's more like at home, like everyone's always constantly asking for things with, having 3 kids and stuff. And so then I'm just like, okay, yeah, like I can take you there, I can pay for this or whatever. But real, like this week, I got frustrated with the kids a few times. I'm like, leave me alone. Like, I need to pack, and you guys are constantly asking me for things, and I'm never going to be ready for my trip. But like just speaking up more, expressing myself
Mm,
more for like my own needs and like that reminder, like I am valuable, I am a human, I'm allowed to have wants and needs. I don't always have to be like the yes mom for like
mm,
everything. Um, and then like they get it and they like back down and stuff like that. But like in their mind, like there's that quote, mom, MOM, made of money. I'm
mm.
just like, hey kids, stop asking me for things. Like I cannot do one more thing. Like
Oh my gosh.
leave me alone. So it's more of I need to express my voice here at the house so I can like be a person and not just like this like vending machine. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful awareness. And you know what? The universe is going to put you to the test because it's summertime and
yeah.
all of the children are home. So, yes, that is a beautiful awareness that you can start using your voice with your kids, and it can be okay. And it can be, give yourself permission to do that. Don't wait to get to the breaking point. I know as a mom, we get that guilt and we get that pressure to always answer and make your kids happy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But it's really good to also put boundaries and recognize that not everything can be given to them right away or right now. Or, yes, you just got two new toys, but now you want four more toys and a Starbucks drink. Like, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, so that's a really good awareness. And it's going to be a good time to practice it and then see how that feels for you. And I think it will get easier as you do it more.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely does. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, awesome. I want to thank you so much for your time and for showing up. And for anyone watching on replay, you can share in the community what your takeaways are from these two questions or anything that we've discussed today. I want to thank you so much for your time. And we are all on this path together. Remember that we are all more powerful than we think. And give yourself permission to show up as your most authentic version of yourself because the world wants you to be your most authentic, beautiful version of yourself, your own unique fingerprint here on this earth, and you are meant to shine your light. So sending you lots of love and light.